what I want to do is have you all kind of, based on what Mark was talking about, based on that introduction, develop questions, issues, things that you'd like to talk about. And I thought I would just put up some of the social media. One of the things that I do is look at, I'm co-editing a book that up until January we were actually calling Middle East Media Evolution, because back in the 90s when we started, when Al Jazeera was first founded and we first started looking at the effects of transnational satellite media, in particular Al Jazeera, but also the internet, blogging, things like this. Back around 1995, 1996, everyone was expecting a democratizing revolution because of the advent of the social media. And so in the late 90s, we all wrote about media revolutions, and then that just never really panned out, and then we got distracted after 9/11 and the decade of war ever since. So when we came to do this media volume, we actually thought, well, we better call it Media Evolution and market it as the gradual accumulated changes over a decade from the mid-1990s to the present. The small little things, the expansion of transnational satellite television, the ownership structures, the competition structures, et cetera, et cetera. And then lo and behold, all of a sudden, finally, at long last, just when we had settled on this title, comes the media revolution. So now we're going to call it Middle East Media Evolution and Revolution. So clearly, if you've been paying attention to what's going on in the world for the last basically 2, and if you were really paying attention, 3 months, starting with the mid-December onset of the Tunisian uprising that sparked this whole wave of uprisings in the Middle East. You will have noticed that there is a real interesting role here for the new social media. And again, like so many of my kind, I like to talk about things without really putting that into practice. But I thought I'd better update my Facebook account and finally figure out what Twitter is. And I was just like you, not a week ago, whenever someone would say Twitter, I would say, I don't know what Twitter is, I don't want to know, and it's not a part of my life. But I felt in order to talk credibly about the aspect, and this is only one aspect of what's going on today, Facebook and Twitter, I ought to know what I was talking about. So, in the last week, I've become the local Twitter guru. And how many of you use Twitter at all? A little bit, yeah. All right. Well, let me encourage you, because this is one of the interesting things that you could do to build on and to give you a sort of a competitive leg up in terms of getting your information, plugging into what are really global networks of decentralized news production. And again, literally a week ago, I was like, Twitter, I don't know what it is, I hate it, but I have to say something intelligent about it on the local news. And I love it, actually. It's been really very interesting. So if you go to Twitter and you're interested in taking me up on this, one thing that you can do is go to Twitter, set up an account, and you can follow my Twitter feed under this name, Zuzu, which of course, for those of you who speak Arabic, that's my nickname, sort of patronymic, or matronymic, I should say, in Arabic. One thing that you will have noticed in Arabic names is you'll find a lot of Abu, Muhammad's, and of course Abu means father of. So many Middle Eastern people, they are conversationally known not so much by their first given name, but as the father of, fill in the name of your firstborn male child. So that's typically called a patronymic. I guess what I'm calling a matronymic is that women are referred to the same way. And so if you see as in Kulthum, or Dunya, or whatever, that means mother of. And so I am Zuzu, the mother of Zuzu, and that's my sort of my online nickname on Twitter. So if you go into Twitter, set up your account, or even if you don't set up an account for yourself and you just want to see what this is about, go in and search for my page, and you'll see, because what I've become somewhat obsessive about in the last week is every 3 or 4 hours going into Twitter, looking at the news that's coming in from my sources that I follow, of whom there are about 60. Some of them are mainstream media outfits like Al Jazeera or The Guardian. Others of them are people in the streets, bloggers in places like Cairo and Tunisia and Yemen, who are literally reporting from the streets. And I get this wave of stuff that comes in, and then I, sitting on my little node in Twitter, and this is what everyone in Twitter does, selectively retweets, comments, passes on the best of what they're seeing. So the other day when when you might have heard about the demonstrations in Bahrain, in Pearl Square, I was cooking dinner and I had my iPad open here and I had my Twitter feed on and I was cooking and I was looking and I was cooking, and literally you were seeing tweets coming in saying the police are coming up the road, from multiple different voices, and suddenly there would be this rush of stuff as people used their cell phones to tweet, and then those tweets would be instantly picked up and redistributed by some of the larger, more important nodes. And yeah.
So, I'll just kind of take a question.
Yeah.
How was that different from if you've done an active, if you're reading what people are putting in on Facebook? I mean, how, I know it's briefer.
This is interesting. This is my question, not a week ago. And you have to learn that fast, actually, and you have to just sort of jump in and do it. And you'll see Facebook is much, as you know, how many of you all use Facebook, right? Okay, the ratio of Facebook users to Twitter users is about 5 to 1. So for every 5 people that use Facebook in an educated kind of middle-class context, there's maybe 1 that uses Twitter, and that's the ratio globally as well. So most of us know how to use Facebook. Facebook is more personal, and it connects you to your whole network of friends, obviously. So, and again, my use of Facebook and Twitter is kind of episodic. So I set up an account, and I would never go to my Facebook account. I use it mostly for news and posting purposes. I don't use it to sort of say, well, I ate this for dinner, or I did that, I just brushed my teeth, or whatever. And I think a lot of people are evolving away from that kind of usage. At least people in our age group are moving away from that kind of usage. I don't know about the students that you teach. I know most of my students in the 450-person class, they're always on Facebook, and I don't think they're taking notes on my lecture. So who knows what they're doing. So here, you come in with a personality, and I'll show you my Facebook page here for a second, because I want you to friend me if you want to. Can you do that? I don't know how. I'm terrible with machines, so it's ironic that I should. Okay, here's my Facebook page. And I've put up a bunch of stuff here, so by all means, since when I episodically go into Facebook, I like to maniacally collect friends. Friend me, or don't friend me if you don't want to, but send me an invitation, and then you can see I've put up things here that caught my eye this morning. With the pictures, with the summaries, and again, these are mostly news issues, and they're kind of quirky. So my persona here, this is actually a picture that Mark took one Halloween, and it was the only picture that I had on there for a long time, but my persona has kind of developed around this clone warrior mask here. So I put on here the things that I think my friends will want to read. So I put up U.S. advised to avoid land wars in Asia, which is what Robert Gates said yesterday, and this was formulated like this on Al Jazeera English, to which I replied, well, snort. Yeah, that would be hilarious if it wasn't so sad, that 10 years into 2 land wars in Asia, suddenly they figured what we were saying 10 years ago, okay? Cliches of wisdom, okay? And then you have an ongoing comment stream basically carried on by your friends. So these friends here that commented on my posting of that happen to be my students, but this would take me, my high school friends, my, my casual acquaintances, not necessarily my professional friends, would all get access to this material in the way that Facebook does that. Okay? So Facebook allows you to personalize it. It allows you to send out your stuff with you as the center of a network of like-minded people. Twitter, on the other hand, and we'll go back to Twitter. Twitter is in some ways a lot more impersonal. Okay, so you're known by perhaps a real name, perhaps by a quirky name, perhaps by a persona. But Twitter is more like sitting, it moves much, much faster. So say people of our generation, probably don't check their Facebook account every day. They might update it periodically. If you're really sort of focused, you might update it once or twice a day. My students seem to go there and update several times a day, things like that. But it's much slower moving. When you go to Twitter, it's fast, and it's like you're sitting on, to use an old cliche, again from the 1990s, it's like you're sitting on the old cliche of the information highway with this stuff flying past you in this micro-blogging form of 140 characters. So you don't have time to sort of stop and smell the roses in the way that, say, a joke would develop on Facebook, and I'd say something and another friend would comment on it. Here, you're sitting on, you're pulling in tweets from, anything from 60 to thousands of different sources, and they're flying by you. And your job in that, what I started out doing, is simply to retweet to my own followers. So it's like you're sitting there with tennis balls coming at you, and some of them are worth pushing on, and others are not. And so you push on maybe 1 in 100 because it interests the people that you know are your followers.
Sounds like a difference between telegraphing and correspondence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely.
Is it free, or do you have to pay for it?
No, it's free.
Do you have to have a smartphone?
Nope, you can use it on your computer. What we've got right here is you go to Twitter. You just go to Twitter. You don't even have to have an account. So if you just don't even sign up or sign into an account, you just go in and type in Umzuzu here, and you will see what I am putting out. Okay, and I think it's an interesting cross-section of what's going on now in the after phases of Egypt and Tunisia and the developing phases of Bahrain and Libya and all over the place. So it's just like a cacophony of voices, some of which are saying, things that are not that important. Others are saying, the ambulance is coming down the road, they're lobbing tear gas right now, oh my God, I just saw someone get shot right in front of me, okay? And you can instantly sort of pass that on if you're sitting there and watching that. And sorry, let me get these questions and then we'll talk about the grammar of it for a second. Yeah?
So I just wanted to very quickly put in my 2 cents.
Yeah.
I was extremely resistant to Twitter. I thought it was going to be even more dribble than Facebook. I just went on recently because of Egypt. So I just wanted to say her explanation is fantastic, and my issue has been the filtering. I don't have time.
Right.
So in order for
Yeah.
it's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm filtering out, and I go in there 2 or 3 times a day, and you get kind of obsessive about it, to just go in, and it's gotten to the point where if I'm away from Twitter for 8 hours or whatever, I can't read everything that's happened, but usually it will clip off for you what's happened in the last hour, and you can read that, retweet it, pass it on, and then it gets picked up by other people. Yeah.